Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Tuesday as you are listening to the show today. It is Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County edition. That means I am pre-recording my conversation on the Zoom screen with Edie Emmons from the Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. Joining her is Cheryl Targos. She is with Copper Fox Distillery, and we are doing this take two of sorts because we started recording and got a couple of minutes in before I realized we weren't actually recording. So I want to thank both you ladies for your time this morning, double time in no less.
Any time spent with you is the best time, Janet.
See, this is why you're one of my favorite co-hosts, Edie.
It's because I have good hair and I'm good at flattering people.
So, Cheryl, when we were talking before we started recording, you are officially the marketing director at Copper Fox Distillery, though you kind of wear a lot of hats there when it comes to anything behind the scenes and administrative. Tell me about Copper Fox Distillery. How did you guys get started? Because it's a family-run business, isn't it?
Sure, it is. So this is my brother's vision. He wanted to create something and offer something new to the whiskey world as he was growing up and actually able to drink at a legal age. He would go to different whiskey tastings, Scotch tastings with my dad, enjoyed big, peaty, smoky whiskeys, but wondered what it would taste like to have a whiskey that was flavored with fruitwood smoke. And so he went off to find that. He went off to discover that, and he shopped and he found that it did not exist. So he went to Scotland and tried to convince somebody else to make it for him. And they told him, we don't have apple trees or peach trees in Scotland, so you need to go do it. So that was like early 2000s. And so he came back, found the property where we're located now in Sperryville, and got investors and family, got everybody to drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and started the business. So we started there in Sperryville, got the official DSP, that distillery spirits producing license, in 2005. And so we started off, so when he went to Scotland, he learned how to do traditional floor malting. And the reason why we do that is that we can maintain the connection to the grain from really start to finish. I mean, people talk about grain to glass, farm to table, but basically we start with, our grain, locally grown, Northern Neck. We've dealt with one farmer since the beginning, floor malt the grain, and then we use our kiln to smoke and to impart that flavor profile, that smoky flavor profile to the grain, which is then distilled and aged. So we were the first North American distillery to do traditional floor malting. There are some now that others that do that. So we started off with Rick's original single malt whiskey, so Copper Fox original single malt, and then we also produce a rye. We have a gin that's 100% single malt barley, and recently we introduced our new bourbon, so Dawson's Reserve bourbon that was released in July. So Sperryville, we've been there. That's been our home base since 2005, and then Rick decided that he wanted to expand. We didn't have enough production capabilities in Sperryville, and the opportunity presented itself for him to purchase property in Williamsburg. So, and that's kind of when I joined him. He needed some help managing the project. I was in a position to shift gears a little bit, and joined him, said I would help him for a year. And I just had my 6-year anniversary with him in February. So so now we're running full production in Sperryville, and our second location, full production in Williamsburg.
Wow. And I noticed your puppy barking in the background. We talked on a previous occasion that you too have gotten yourself a pandemic puppy. So it's nice to hear another dog barking in the background that isn't my own.
Yeah, yeah.
What is it like to be working in partnership with your brother? I mean, how is that family dynamic? Do you drink a lot of your product to get through the day?
Oh my gosh. Well, the challenge is it's a ton of fun. Rick actually started when it was 3 people. It was my brother. It was his partner, Sean McCaskey, who, continues to be with him and actually now is managing full, in Sperryville, and my mother, Mom, MOM, manager of malt. She had her own business and her career in Buffalo, New York. And again, she was 64, 65, I think, when she moved. She sold her business, came to Sperryville to help Rick. And so it was really the 3 of them for the first several years. And then, things really changed when, lots of changes with the Virginia ABC system, but when we were able to do tastings at the distillery location. Also, both of our distillery locations are ABC stores, so we can sell what we produce. So that was huge change for us. And then, of course, lots of changes this past year for us that have been very beneficial. Actually, due to COVID, we've been given the privilege of shipping direct to customers in the state of Virginia, which has been very helpful. We also actually did really well last year during COVID because we were able to pivot very quickly. And for several months, we produced distilled hand sanitizer.
I wondered whether or not you guys were doing that as well.
Yeah. That was huge. So, I mean, in fact, we're coming up in that 1-year anniversary. I think everybody's thinking about it, thinking about where they were, a year ago, March, and what changes. But it was March, it was like 16th for us that we shut down. And by March 31st, we had gotten approval from the FDA to produce hand sanitizer, and we just went with it. We just ran with it.
When you were producing the hand sanitizer, were you distributing that here in the Shenandoah Valley locally out from Sperryville, or was that something you were doing under a contract and sending it to retail stores or something somewhere else?
So we're part of the Virginia Distillers Association. This is an industry organization that we're part of. There's probably 30 distilleries in the state of Virginia that work with us, or we work together. And so there was a consortium that was put together. Strategically, we got a contract, or they helped us get a contract with the Virginia Department of Emergency Services. I don't know, it was huge. It was a huge thing. And we just started running around the clock, getting bottles, getting caps, making labels, and that was great. And so we sold through the consortium. We sold to customers, and then we also donated probably $100,000 worth of product to not-for-profits.
Wow!
Over the past year, so we had sales, and we also made a lot of donations, but it's like wrapped up now. I think that there's probably still a little bit left in inventory, but we're done. Rick wants to make whiskey. We were happy to do our part when we could, but it was a lot. It was a big shift.
I'm with Rick. I mean, making hand sanitizer is a good thing to do, and it's very helpful, and it was needed. But right now, since we're kind of on getting towards the other side of this, we need the whiskey. We need the whiskey way more than we need the hand sanitizer.
Right. And then just answer your question about working with the family. I mean, it's been great. We've got about 22 employees between both locations. So as I said, my brother and his wife and family, my brother-in-law is in Sperryville. My middle son, Andrew, is, manages production, the malt house in Williamsburg. And yeah, it's great. It has its challenges, but it is a ton of fun, I would have to say. And yes, I do enjoy, and we do drink. I mean, I tell you, we do have a lot of quality control sessions that we that we work on together. So
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to tell you real quick about the episode where Rick was on the show with me a bit of time ago. But then I want you to tell me a little bit about some of the different varieties that you have.
okay.
I enjoyed the rye, but now that I know you have bourbon and that you can ship direct, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next segment. Will that work for you?
That would be great.
We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation for Tourism Tuesday. We are on the Zoom screen pre-recording with Edie Emmons from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. Her guest today is Cheryl Targos. She is the marketing director at Copper Fox Distillery, located in Sperryville. We'll come back and talk more with them in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Tuesday. As you are listening to the show today, that means it is Tourism Tuesday, and it is Luray Page County's turn at the mic. So we are pre-recording our conversation on the Zoom screen with Edie from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. We've also been chatting with her guest, Cheryl Targos. She is the marketing director at Copper Fox Distillery, located in Sperryville and in Williamsburg. And Cheryl, when we went to break, I was gonna tell you the story that when Rick came and did the radio show with me, it's probably been a couple of years ago, he brought samples, which made him one of my favorite guests. And we tasted, I think, three different varieties. The rye was my favorite. And you mentioned in the first segment that you guys are now doing a bourbon, and I am a bourbon girl. My husband is a bourbon guy, and you can ship direct. How amazing is that going to be? Do you think you'll still be able to ship direct when we're on the other side of this pandemic?
I believe that this has been extended to us permanently, that we'll be able to do that. So we can get to Virginia addresses. We're not allowed to ship out of state yet. That's another project. But yeah, so we'll have to make sure that we get your address, Janet.
Absolutely.
I like whiskey too.
Don't worry. Okay.
Edie, I like whiskey too. What goes into putting together like a recipe? And is it difficult to go from doing the whiskeys and the rye to a bourbon? Was that completely different, or are they closer than one might think?
That's really a question that I think the master distillers should answer. So either Rick or Sean, they are different. And it's really, the designation of the classification dictates what the grain or the mash bill is. So for example, a single malt it's one grain, it's barley. For the bourbon, it has to be a minimum of 51% corn in the mash bill. And then beyond that, it could be 100% corn, it could be, a blend. Our bourbon is corn, barley, and oats. So it can be whatever. So it's the same thing with rye, a rye whiskey. It has to be in the mash bill, a minimum of 51% rye. It could be the mash bill could be 100% rye. It could be a blend. Ours is 2/3 rye and 1/3 of the smoked malted barley. So there are some standards of identity for, for the product. So if you think about like whiskey is the big umbrella term, and then underneath that is American single malt, Scotch whiskey, Irish whiskey, Canadian whiskey, bourbon. So the bourbon, I think that was really Sean and Rick who came up with that mash bill. And our bourbon, it's called Dawson's Reserve bourbon. It's a 4-year-old bourbon. And we named that after our principal farmer who passed away a couple of years ago. It's a great story. Billy Dawson had been involved with us from the very beginning. And so we in a tribute to Billy, we gave the name of our bourbon to him. So we have, our original single malt, and I talked earlier about the fruitwood smoke that so intrigued Rick, that whole sensory experience. We have the original single malt, which has the applewood and cherrywood smoke. We have a peachwood single malt, so he used peachwood smoke in the kiln. Janet, you mentioned that you like the rye. So our original rye has the apple and cherry smoke in the mash bill, but we have a sassy rye, and that one Rick used sassafras smoke. So that is a little different. And actually a cute story about Rick, so you've met him. So we have, he likes jokes and puns, and he likes to be creative. And so we get creative with the batch numbers on these products. So the peachwood, for example, we use the initials of the Beatles albums in chronological order for the batch releases, because when we started marketing the peachwood, it was, just give peach a chance, it was kind of a pun on the Beatles thing. So, and then the sassy rye, we decided to use the initials of our favorite sassy women. So the first batch was, HW for my mom, Helen Wasmond. I think I'm on a batch number.
Yeah, I need to be better friends with Rick so I can get my initials. I think I'm pretty sassy. Edie, do you think I'm sassy?
Yeah.
No comment.
The Jen or the James Bond movies in chronological order.
I love that. That is so cool and unique that I don't think a lot of people would realize, because they just think of those as random numbers and not that they have a story behind each of them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just like some fun stuff about the products. And, we also collaborate with some local Virginia wineries, Barboursville, Rappahannock Cellars. So we do have some rye and some single malt that we age additionally in used port style wine barrels. So our port single malt, port barrel rye, we have an apple brandy rye and an apple brandy single malt. So we've played around with some different barrel aging products too. So pretty much if anybody is interested, everything is available at both distillery store locations, available to ship if you live in Virginia.
And is the distillery in Sperryville open right now? Can I come in and order something like at the bar? I mean, what kind of atmosphere does the distillery in Sperryville have?
So for both locations, we're still in, phase 3 of reopening in Virginia. So we're following all of the mandated and recommended, COVID protocols as far as, mask wearing and cleaning. And so in Sperryville, we have limited indoor space, but we have very spacious outdoor seating area. There's bonfire, fire pit on the river. Spectacular views of the Blue Ridge Mountains are free of charge. You can sit out there and order whiskey flights. We do craft cocktails, small snack, options are available, and people can come and just hang out and sit out in the cocktail garden. It's perfect weather for that. Well-behaved dogs and children are encouraged.
I guess I can't go then. Dang it.
Edie, you have to stay at home, but Cheryl and I are going to take our puppies.
Just bring me a doggy bag.
So
Yeah.
Cheryl, if somebody wants to get more information, they want to place an order, they want to find out what the hours are, maybe they want to take a weekend trip to Williamsburg and visit that distillery, where is the best first place for them to go to get more information? Do you have a website?
Yep, we do. Just copperfoxdistillery.com. Any information, and if there's any information that you can't find on the website, you can just reach out. I answer all the correspondence that people send through the website. You could follow us on Facebook or Instagram, but both locations are open. And we do have a lot of requests about when we're going to start up tours again. We are gearing up for tours in Williamsburg this month, and then probably in Sperryville starting in April. So, and it will be a little different. It'll be online reservations, and I'll be updating the website with more details on that. But certainly people can email me or give either distillery location a call.
Okay, Edie, I think that's a date. I think you and I should meet up in April and grab our masks and head to Sperryville for a tour of Copper Fox.
Let's do it. I'm all for that.
But for those that don't want to wait until April to go to Copper Fox, there's something cool going on right now this week in Page County, right?
Yes, we are in the middle of celebrating our 3rd annual Page County Restaurant Week.
I think it is the 3rd year.
I think so, because it started the year I started at the chamber 3 years ago. So yeah, we are in the middle of it. Different restaurants in the area or in the county rather come up with specials. They have special price points that they run all week or whenever they're open for the week. It's a great way to, enjoy places you already frequent as well as finding new ones that you like.
Yeah, it's a great option. They had Winchester Restaurant Week a few weeks ago, and I had a gentleman on the show to talk about that. It's a great opportunity to try somewhere you haven't gone before because you can get a deal. So you may find your new favorite hotspot and save money in the process versus having to pay full price and maybe not enjoying it as much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to great time to try out new restaurants.
And are the details and the lists of restaurants and all of that, are they on the chamber website? Are they on a Facebook page somewhere?
They are not on the chamber page. They are on Dine Out Page County. It's our restaurant week page, or you can look up Dine Out Page County online and it'll take you to our website.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, ladies, for meeting up with me on the Zoom screen today. I appreciate both of you taking some time out of your day.
Thank you, Janet.
Always.
Thank you, Edie. It was great to be here.
Absolutely. It was great to have you.
We are going to wrap up our conversation today for Tourism Tuesday. We have been chatting with Edie Emmons from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce and her guest, Cheryl Targos. She is with Copper Fox Distillery. Again, copperfoxdistillery.com is where you can go to explore the website. And again, I like the bourbon. If anybody needs my address to ship some to me as a gift, I am all in. I will be back tomorrow. I'll have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you. Meet me back here to have a listen just a few minutes after noon.